Hi everyone, my name is Jesus Rodriguez Espinosa. I'm the editor of Orinoco Tribune, uh, a news outlet based in Caracas, Venezuela. And today we want to start a series of videos with a brief overview about our weekly newsletter. We send weekly newsletters every Monday with information about the most relevant issues that happened in the previous week. We have it divided in two sections. In the first one, we publish the six most viewed pieces that we published in the previous week. And in the second section, we put the information mainly about Venezuela that we also published in that period. Sometimes we add uh, information from Latin American issues that for us are relevant. We are going to start this series of videos that we're going to try to publish every Monday, as well as, a little bit after we send our weekly newsletter via email. And we invite you to, subscribe to our weekly newsletter. And we are also planning in sending a new newsletter, but it's going to be a monthly newsletter with a broader overview about international and regional and Venezuelan issues, and but also in a more engaging way. So wait for that. That we're working on that, and it's going to happen soon. So in this first episode of our weekly newsletter, in short videos, I'm gonna let you know the most important relevance that we put in the newsletter. The article that was most clicked last week was one about the environmental disaster in East Palestine in Ohio with the derailment of this train with chemical, substances that have created an environmental situation in the US that has been somehow not very well covered by mainstream media. So we believe that it's important that we highlight those issues, and a proof of the importance is that it was the most clicked article in the previous week. In second position, we have an interview, the piece that we published for the interview that we had with Omari Yesitela, the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, and with Joe Eiselberger from Freedom Road Socialist Organization about FBI intimidation. I really enjoyed that interview. It's one of the best, in my opinion, that we have had, not because we did it, but because of the information that is has been provided in that video. So I invite you to watch that interview that we also published it in our YouTube channel. The third piece that was most viewed last week was one by Andrei Koripko about Lula. We invite you to read it, but it's basically like a criticism of those liberals or pseudo leftists that uh, sees Lula like the new left, real left president in the region. So I believe that he did a nice work writing that piece, and I invite you also to read it. The fourth most clicked article was one about Evo Morales. He basically tweeted that he demanding that the U.S. gave more explanation about the oil spill, the chemical spill, the environmental disaster in Ohio. So that was also a very important piece of information, especially because Evo Morales is a reference in environmental issues and in other issues, political issues, of course, too. And the fifth article was about the Seymour Hersh saga and the interview that he had with the German Berliner Zeitung, if I pronounce it well. So it is a piece from Mission Verdad in which we basically uh, uh, translated what they considered were the highlights of that interview. And I invite you to read it because it's a very, brief summary of the interview. And the last one in this first section is one about the USA, the humanitarian face of colonial exploitation is the name of the article by Amanda Yee. And it's a very good article about, what most of us know on the USA attempts to destabilize and provoke regime change all over the world. And for me, it was pretty relevant because in recent days there was this trip of the head of the USA to Hungary. And for me, that was like a signal that, oh my God, these guys might be working very hard in pushing the right wing president of Hungary. So I invite you to read those articles. And now I'm gonna, let you know about the the second section is basically the pieces that we published in Venezuela about Venezuela in the previous week, but also we organize it in chronological from the most recent one to the oldest one. So the most recent one in this section is one piece that we wrote, our Sahili Chaudhry from our team wrote about the announcement of Trudeau, Canada's Trudeau, of sending two army ships, navy ships to Haiti. In the article, she explained how imperialistic this move is and how the Canada is playing the benevolent empire, in this new recent move around Haiti and the disaster that has been created in Haiti by the uh, United Nations, OAS, and the countries, especially France, Canada, US, Germany, and Brazil, that are part of the basically the de facto government that controls what happened in Haiti. Uh, so I invite you to read this piece. The second one is one called Maduro's Neoliberal Turn, with question sign at the end. And it's a very nice piece about this trend sent by not only by extreme leftists like the guys from the Communist Party of Venezuela and other communist parties that follow them blindly, but also from right wingers to try to present Nicolas Maduro like a neoliberal dictator, ruler, or whatever. So it's a good analysis. I believe that it needed more in-depth, information, but it's at least a very good first approach in trying to dismantle the lies about Maduro being neoliberal. The next one is one piece about Chevron increasing production shipments of oil from Venezuela to the U.S. It's a very modest increase. Last month it was around 70,000 barrels per last month that we sent to the U.S. And this month they are expecting that it's going to jump to 100,000. So it's relevant information because it's related to oil, and oil is the main cause of what the U.S. Is trying to do against the Venezuelan people and the government of Nicolas Maduro and Chavismo. The next piece is about the open of the border between Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, and Venezuela, which has been closed since before the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's going to start, that's going to happen on May 1st, according to the schedule that we inform you in this piece. The next piece is one great comments by Andrés Manuel López Obrador in Mexico about Dina Boluarte. Basically, he called it an spurious government, which is absolutely true. And he refused to transfer the presidency, the pro tempore presidency of the Alianza del Pacífico, the Pacific Alliance, that is a small group of, Latin American countries that was created by the gringos, by the way, to try to fight against UNASUR and CELAC. But President AMLO refused to transfer the presidency to Peru because he considered that the government is an spurious government, which is absolutely true. The next piece is about a celebration, what we call in Venezuela, la Marcha de los Claveles Rojos, to commemorate one more year after the death of Ali Primera, which is one of the most important singers of Venezuela, socialist, Marxist singers from Venezuela. And I believe that from Latin America, because he's very well known all over Latin America. So I invite you to read that piece also. The next one is a piece that is not about Venezuela, but it's also is about something important. It's that the Alliance for Global Justice announced a few days ago that they have been attacked financially by Zionist organizations that are against their support uh, uh, for the Palestinian struggle, the Palestinian people. So that's a very important news. I invite you to read it. I invite you to support the Alliance for Global Justice, and it's disgusting what these groups do. The next piece is about the opposition, Maria Corina Machado, and her ties with the right winger Republicans in Florida, and the approval of the Bolivar Act, which is basically an imperialist law that was approved in the US Congress against Venezuela. So this is an important piece, especially because Maria Corina Machado has been showing herself in recent polls like among the first two or three options with more support by the right wingers, and that has to be put in quotations because the support is very low. I believe that the best support that I've seen of her is like goes somewhere around 18 or 19% among the most reputable, poll firms in Venezuela. The next one is a piece about Maduro and Petro signing a trade agreement a few days ago, last week in Venezuela. This is important because of the symbolic of the event. They meet in the Tienditas Bridge in the border between Venezuela and Colombia. And I believe that it's another move showing how sincere and how committed Petro is in Venezuela, also is in advancing in improving the relations that it shouldn't have been, destroyed by former President Duque. And the next piece is one about President Maduro informing about that he's not a very, I mean, he rules basically he ruled out the resumption of the Mexico talks because the gringos and the opposition that they control, they didn't comply with the agreement that was signed a few days ago, and a few months ago, sorry. The next piece is about the exports of Venezuela. Venezuela have increased its export of seafood, and that's important in terms of the improving of the Venezuelan economy that is still very affected by the blockade and the sanctions. The next piece is about the opposition primaries that were announced last week and supposedly are going to happen on October 22nd. So right now Venezuela is it's not like upside down, but I mean at least the opposition circles are very active, trying to move and organize and plan their moves in order to try to select the best candidate that they could taking into consideration that they are very extremely fragmented. So it's going to be a hard task, but at least they have a date. The next piece is about the Washington concerns about the recovery of Petrocaribe. So this is something, a piece that we translated from Mission Verdad, basically highlighting that Washington has been, touching the CARICOM summit in order to try to keep their attacks against Petrocaribe. The next one is about the Colombian support of President Petro. There was a march supporting President Petro on Tuesday. On Monday, the next piece is about the reopening of the Leander ship that was the ship that Francisco de Miranda, one of our founding fathers in Venezuela, used to in the first attempt to liberate Venezuela. And in that ship, he brought the first Venezuelan flag, the one that we use right now, or very close to the one we use right now. And one of the most important things about this piece is that this area was previously used with a replica of the Santa Maria ship, the one that Christophilus Columbus used to conquer Latin America, to discover Latin America, and basically it's a decolonization, initiative that is important. The next piece is about Turkey rescuers thanking Venezuela for their emergency response. Venezuela sent a team of experts in emergency and in find and rescue operations to Turkey and Syria. So this piece is about the Turkeys making a recognition to the Venezuelan responders. The next piece is about Lasso facing political crisis. after the event the referendum that he organized that he lost. So the situation in Peru is a little bit complex at this moment. The next piece is about President Petro calling Nazis the police forces because they behaved like Nazis a few days ago when the most of the Peruvian society called for a national strike in Lima. So it's important to see that, and it's important to say that the Peruvian Congress, the CUP Congress in Lima, declared him a few days later persona non grata, as they did with Evo Morales, and I believe that they are going to do with many of the presidents in the region, because what happened in Peru right now is that they are facing a dictatorship. And the next piece is about Argentina and Joe Louis' private army. This is a some people might think that this is not very important because it's related to the Lago Escondido scandal, where a lot of people from the judiciary, Argentinian judiciary, were shown as being paid by this right-winger Nazi, British Nazi that have extensive lands in Argentina. And and it shows the connections between the right wingers, the international capital, and the corruption and the lawfare against Cristina Kirchner. And the last one is about the appointment of Celsa Bautista as Minister for Penitentiary Services in Venezuela. So that's basically it. Thank you a lot for listening to us.